you up with a little bit less time. This is another big topic, as all of them are. And as anybody who's listening can tell, you know, we're not trying to do the average run-of-the-mill conference thing, the same topics, the same speakers. You know, we're really trying to mix it up, do something different, bring you unique content that you won't hear anywhere else. And I think you're hearing that today. So really excited. So Kristina, I'm going to pass it over to you for the next panel.
Kyle, great job with the Swiss.
Thank you, David. Yeah, I mean, this is a symbol of safety. Of like, I feel like right now, like we're just trying to rush to get this ambulance, like, you know, to help put out the fire and save people before all of our rights and liberties, our identity, data get burned to the ground.
Yeah.
The time is now. This Black Swan event has arrived, and we are on the tipping point of like seeing proper or seeing like responsible, honorable adoption of this technology, or like, you know, dystopic mishandling of it, like paraded around by people thinking that, you know, having an immunity pass in your digital wallet and requiring that to leave your house, you know, under a geofence with alerting to the authorities is something that's good and that we need in a free society. Also, like, there's notions of trading our rights.
Seeing that from, you know, reading.
Hey, you guys.
Sorry about that.
Let me just call the speakers, and then you can comment real quick just to make sure everybody knows that it's their time. I know we're a little bit late. Adam Blumberg, Greg Garcia, Josh Lawler, I know you're here. Jared Winn from Binance, Kyle Kemper, obviously here, and David. So we got a few of you guys here, just missing Kristina, Adam, Greg, and Jared Winn. If you guys could come on right now, and we'll get this thing going.
Can you guys see and hear me now?
There she is.
Hey, okay. I think my camera was off, but the entire time that Kyle was telling about Swiss Key, I was like doing wild hand gestures, but I hope nobody actually saw that. I'm a fan. I'm a very biased fan. Adam is joining. Hi, Jared. Oh, I can't wait.
Hey, hi, David.
Jared. What's going
All right,
on?
we got David, we got Lawler, we got Kyle Kemper, who I have to say his first and last name. I can't just say Kyle. I never have. It's always Kyle Kemper. And Jared Winn cannot wait. Okay. Jared, you're one of the few folks that hasn't introduced themselves. I know Lawler hasn't introduced himself either, but your Binance philanthropy stuff is just so dang cool. Can you give a quick intro to everyone, and we will get started onto the agenda?
Happy to, and thanks for having me, Kristina. My name is Jared Winn. I'm the Senior Vice President of Charity with Binance. I focus on Binance's philanthropic reach throughout the world. Right now, we are working on a very targeted campaign called Crypto Against COVID. I'll put a link in the chat in just a moment here, but we are matching all donations 2-to-1. Thus far, we have raised over $3 million with a target of $5 million, in which we're providing PPE materials to hospitals and frontline or first responders. So that said, for anybody feeling charitable or wanting to make an impact, please do, and we will match that 2-to-1. We have a large shipment coming through to New York, and you'll hear a lot more coming from us. So I look forward to chatting more about that in this panel.
Thank you so much, Jared. Just to plug CoinGenius, we are also partnering with them. We're big fans of Jared, and by association, I guess Binance too. But yeah, really excited for the philanthropy angle of this panel. I think, especially with Kyle Kemper and David on, this will be really interesting. But Mr. Josh Lawler, I will try to be professional here, even though you're like my favorite lawyer. Would you like to give yourself a quick introduction for the audience here?
He looks frozen.
Like, nope, no, I really will not, Kristina.
With that look of judgment,
like,
say that's
best poker face ever.
Right there.
Oh, there she goes again. Okay, so guys, this one is blockchain solving current problems globally. It wasn't intended to be a philanthropy blockchain or supply chain type of conversation, but I have a feeling that's where it's mostly going to go. If it's global and it's blockchain, we want to talk about it here. And I know that we've seen lots of opinions. We're very happy to have the dialogue. This will spill over into many, many more conversations. So even though it's just tip of the iceberg, feel free to go where you guys want to go with this. I'm probably the most easygoing moderator you're ever going to see. If Lawler ever comes unfrozen, we'll let him jump in. But David Gokhshtein, I gotta say, I'm really excited to hear your thoughts around this. On the news side of it, your finger's on the pulse of a lot of things happening around the world. I saw in the chats, they were talking about Sweden and some of the more regional impacts of like not paying attention to this COVID thing and what those consequences could look like. So maybe if you want to just jump in about where you think blockchain could be most impactful on a global scale, that would be a great place to start.
Well, I think we need to go ahead and take advantage of blockchain now and not wait. Not wait, proactive advantage of it right now. Look, I'm working with, my biggest thing right now is, I have family in the medical field. They don't have PPE. I have friends in the medical field. They don't have PPE. How do we go ahead and get these people PPE? I work with Binance charity right now with Jared here. I say that again.
How do we? I mean, Tiffany talked about it. I mean, I have a personal, relationship in the hospital. They don't have enough masks. They don't have enough anything. They're walking in the back door naked under like a blower thing that's basically what a car wash blower is. Like, this is what they're trying to combat, and they're putting their lives on the front lines.
Exactly, and they're wearing garbage bags. They're turning to garbage bags to go ahead and use as gowns. I mean, this is ridiculous. We're putting our frontline workers in danger. These people that we need, essential workers out there, 16-hour shifts to go ahead and save lives. Save lives now. We were so unprepared for this. We've had, other countries literally buy all this stuff up, or we're giving stuff during their crisis, which are now trying to sell it back to us. Something that went to them for free is now trying to be sold to us and other countries. Not just talking about the States. And you just said something about Sweden. Sweden's walking around saying, hey, we're not going to go ahead and shut anything down. We're going to have, we're going to do the horde, the entire horde thing and, have everybody, get horde immunity. That's not going to work. That's not going to work. That's how it works.
Not with the disease that
I think it's herd immunity.
Herd.
Personally, I'm really grateful that at least we have one country, as in Sweden, representing another approach to this.
I get it. I get it, Carl.
We'll see how the data. We'll see what the data shows.
Yeah, the data will tell.
Okay, but now, so there you go. Where do we put that data?
CoinGenius will take it. We love data. We will organize all the data. Send us the data.
How do we trust? How do we trust the numbers? Period, like that are being broadcast.
Put it on a blockchain. That's how you trust the numbers.
Put it on a blockchain. Somebody needs to focus on putting it on a use case. Put it on a blockchain. Show the world that blockchain works. Right now, we have the spotlight to go ahead and show the entire world that blockchain works. It's not just this 15-minute fling. Like, we could show that blockchain is huge. And it is beneficial to every single society, period.
It's very, to get an entire world to adopt a technology in like a sensible fashion and in a responsible fashion is incredibly difficult. I ran the Blockchain Association of Canada for years, and we're looking at how we can apply this technology to different industries. There are so many different stakeholders involved in all of these industries that trying to get purpose-oriented, just purpose alignment is like the first thing that absolutely needs to be done. And then we can start rolling into the implementations, because this technology, it works. It's here. It can work. It's about how it gets deployed, which egos are going to pop up and try and control this. And will all the parties be involved on this? Will it be a public discussion? Will it be a private discussion? Will it be a public-private partnership? It's not an easy. I wish we could just deploy it all right away. And we're seeing small little clusters deploying and proving it. And that's the great thing about this open source tech, is we can have these small samples that are showing it, working it, and then we can start growing that beyond.
I would agree. I think that there's a lot to unpack. I think that we can have small small use cases, but they have to be able to scale. So Mr. Josh Lawler, are you able to chat now?
Maybe, not sure. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, you can hear me. Okay, great. Audio is phone, video is video, and
you were
Cox is
like
horrible.
Grayscale. You looked very night vision there for a second.
You know what? Anything that you can get you through, man. Anything that can get you through. So, what the hell was the question?
So obviously, we all agree that for what blockchain can do globally is we need to look at the data so everyone can have democratized data. And how do you do that? You put it on. How would you trust that data? You put it on blockchain and you allow it to be democratized. That's very, very much what this is doing, and where we want to give that data back to the world, to the 99%, so they're just as mad as we are.
Yeah, no, I think that's right.
Opinion.
I think that's right. And, I've actually looked into this pretty heavily. You almost need two different layers of distribution. You need, an Oracle layer, and that's something like, a chain link, for instance. And then that in turn needs multiple sources of verifiable first source data, which, as a CoinGenius would be somebody who's a data source. You guys, of course, also have to verify your data, and it kind of becomes a distributed fact type of paradigm, which is very, very hard to achieve, to be clear. Getting multiple sources of primary data is very difficult, but if you can, then that blows fake news right out of the water.
Well, just to plug CoinGenius really quick, we have lots of the different kinds of data coming in, the raw data sources. Someone mentioned CoinMarketCap's data. Don't try and build algos on CoinMarketCap's data, I know for a fact. But there are data sets that are good for certain things and not good for other things. By bringing them in and then using AI machine learning to be able to scoop those up and democratizing those correlations out to the world, or even just keeping that source of truth, that we're not trying to get rich on our data, we're trying to let you guys get rich on our data. I think that there needs to be a face to the industry to say we're real humans, this is really our mission, we're not trying to be Google, and you should be very scared of Google owning your data. If Google and Apple said that they were going to do this and put it on the blockchain, I would have been thrilled. But for them to centralize it, it really scares me. On a global scale, most people in other countries may not fully understand what blockchain is and the power that it has about the status quo of almost every single industry. You guys talk. I'm going to stop talking now.
I don't believe you.
I don't know if I trust it. Even the whole Google said they.
I'm just chuckling over the idea that people in the United States might understand, which I don't think for the most part they do.
I do a lot of content so my grandma can understand why I'm so passionate about this industry.
No, the Google and Apple news was scary. As soon as I read that, I was like, "Are you kidding me?" But if we don't let our voices be heard, it's going to happen. We're going to accept it because we accept everything. I mean, you have a few people that'll voice their opinions, but you can't just accept it. If you want to go ahead and make a stand, you make a stand. You have, everybody's like, "Oh, it's only going to be me talking about it." No, one voice is powerful. You send out a message. I don't care if you have 5 followers or 20 followers. Get that message out there, man. We can't have that. Apple and central, these guys, these big, huge players like Google and Apple having data on us like that. That is scary.
I agree. I'm going to pick on Jared.
Yeah. So,
sorry, Jared. What is it?
Kristina, this is Adam. Can you all hear me now?
Hi, Adam Blumberg. Thank you for joining. I will.
Hey,
yeah.
how are you?
I think so.
So sorry. This has been working for me all day.
I'm not sure if you can hear me though. Can you hear me?
Now I can hear you, Josh.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Adam, do you want to do a really quick intro?
Yeah, really quick intro. So we're financial advisors, but recently we started a company called Interaxis, and our goal is education and adoption of blockchain, cryptocurrency, digital assets. We recently launched a course to teach financial advisors so that they can then eventually help their clients with digital assets.
Thanks, Adam. Okay, so I want to pick a little bit on Jared here. So Jared, if the question that David just posited continues, at what point do we reach critical mass for people to care enough about blockchain you're in philanthropy, which is like people's last thought in a crisis like this. how do you reach critical mass and the education level that's needed so the globe can understand the power of this technology?
That's a very good question.
Yeah, Jared.
Thank you, Kristina, and thank you, Josh. It's a very good question. And I think that in some ways we're reaching that threshold in which there has to be a certain amount of friction required for people to adopt change. And without that, we're going to remain complacent. And we're seeing that now. I mean, I'm seeing my kindergartner and my second grader basically doing Zoom conferences with their children or with their teachers at this point. So it's like, you know, would we have seen that in the next couple of years? Probably not. But we're being put into a situation now where if schools want to be paid, they ultimately have to have some sort of distance learning module in place. I think that with what we've seen previously in philanthropy, part of Binance Charity's major, I guess, core philosophy is that the end mile, or the last mile, is covered in blockchain transparency. We show that donations are being passed through from donors to end beneficiaries through blockchain technology. Now, the great thing about philanthropy is that people that are usually in need of it aren't going to be too picky about the way that it comes through. So I think that as we continue down this and as things become more dire, hopefully they don't, we're going to see more of that interest from just the public in general as to whether or not you want to receive a donation in the form of cryptocurrency or not receive a donation at all. Beggars can't be choosers in this way. So I think that as things continue to progress, we'll see that more and more of these technologies will become more prevalent.
Awesome.
Kristina,
Adam,
this is Phil Watts. Do you think I can jump in?
Oh, I'm sorry. Is that Phil?
Yeah, I had something that's really topical. If I can just.
Yes, please.
Hi.
I know you're
because I work in the energy sector, and I just, if I can just kind of bridge like 15 things that have happened in the last hour. You know, I on the one hand, kind of corporate, right, private sector, but on the other hand, we work with communities to power them with renewable energy, which is not, it's kind of political, but it's not sort of big politics. It's not national politics, and you're never very far from the end consumer, so you're never very far from the grassroots. But on the one hand, we really want to use blockchain because we're doing local generation of power, but it's also a local consumer. And so, and the money stays local, and you want to be able to show that and track that and be able to have both ends, because the consumer wants a lower electricity bill and we're able to deliver that. And so they actually have an interest on the receiving end of tracking what's going on. But we also have an interest on the sending side to carry out all kinds of fancy arbitrage and stuff like that, and documenting the transactions in real time. And so the blockchain serves the whole ecosystem, the whole community, the sender, the receiver, and every participant in the transaction. And I just wanted to kind of point out that there are areas where blockchain is really at the heart of everything that's taking place. And with that, I say thank you.
So, you know, part of this, I want to get at, you know, to tying a few things together. You know, when you talk about privacy and such, we have to remember that blockchain is not a cure-all in the sense that a lot of data is stored off-chain. It doesn't automatically mean that it's transparent and auditable and everything else. I think that's important to realize, because the other key to adoption, it's almost always marketing and rollout, and people will go after convenience and people will go after things that are shiny and easy. And in order to do that on a mass scale, it takes a great deal of money and infrastructure. It takes being an Apple or a Google. You know, Zoom is trying, and we can see what happened to them on privacy. They recently were flambéed, as well they should be. But, you know, it makes it a very difficult kind of question of how do you get people to really focus enough that even the solution is an actual solution, because at least in our country, and I think probably the world, we have a real record of the solution not really being the actual solution, but being kind of a reasonable facsimile that people can look at and feel good about, even if it's not quite there.
Right. Adam, I'd love to hear your thoughts, and then I'm going to pick on David a bit after this. He's like, no. Everyone's like, yeah.
This is a very private transmission.
How do we get the globe to adopt it, you guys? I mean, we're all sitting here. I see all 6 heads nodding in agreement. How do we do it?
Well, why don't I just jump?
Yeah, go ahead, Kyle. I didn't hear the question, so I apologize. It just...
No worries. Just to reiterate, I was saying I see all 6 of our heads like nodding in agreement. How do we reach global adoption? We know it's user interface, we know, and user experience, ease of use. We know that it's trust. We know that it has to be financially motivated. We know that it has to be, they have to make more money by adopting it than not. And at the user version, they don't need to know what blockchain is. You don't need to know how your engine works to be able to drive to the store.
Thank you, Kristina. That is something that is like one of the biggest sentiments is everybody needs to understand all about this. Like I've been in this since 2013 and we're still learning every day and it's so complicated. And to truly like understand the scope of this, you need to be like a generalist expert to really kind of get the full grasp of it. The people will never understand that. The people need something that works. The people need something like this card that's an NFC powered smart card that you can load crypto, that you can load identity, that you can load your keys onto and program from your wallet to be able to interact with services in life. A familiar form factor is like, you know, one of the bridges towards getting it. The other thing is and we're seeing right now is it's not going to be a question of will you choose a wallet. You're going to be forced to choose a wallet. You're going to need to have a place to store these digital identities. And the question is, are you going to use the government wallet? Are you going to use the bank wallet? Are you going to use the Accenture wallet? Or are you going to use the self-custody distributed wallet that you are in full control of?
Round of applause. Yeah.
And that's like, you know, that's the
real quick, Kristina, based on this panel, I kind of wanted to say there were a bunch of projects, and SwiftKey is one of them, that were using blockchain obviously beyond cryptocurrency, but the things that cryptocurrency adds to it are deals like micropayments, which is going to fund things like microcapitalism. We're now taking out and friction. Yeah, so you take out a lot of those fees and frictions, and it allows me to offer a loan to some small farmer in another country, whereas in the past, everything that the bank and the government took out of it was going to leave them with nothing. It wasn't worth my making any sort of investment in them. It's no longer a donation that comes from some charity. Now it's an investment that I can expect to get some sort of return in helping someone actually build their farm. So that to me is a big piece that blockchain is already helping. It's already helping in the supply chain. It's already helping in tracking the provenance of objects. So there are projects going on that blockchain has already been deployed. And to your point here, a lot of times it's being deployed in a way that the users don't know and don't care. Right? It's just like now there's plenty of servers being deployed in the world, but I don't know and I don't care. I know that occasionally this website works and occasionally it doesn't, apparently. But that to me is part of the key. Some of these projects that have already been launched and already working, and they don't even have to mention blockchain because they're that good.
I would totally agree. I think that there's a lot to be said for putting all those resources in one place so a user can just find them. If you're interested in the technology and you want to know what's behind it, the people behind it, just the data so that you can make your own choices is a big piece. You touched on a couple of really, really big topics that and I'm just going to encourage folks to do some more research. If you want to know more about Kyle, we did a 60-minute in-depth on his product. We're doing that for a lot of folks. But if you take the things that Adam just said, they get bigger and bigger, meaning you can move away from your hometown and still give your money back knowing it's going to your hometown. You can tokenize small pieces of things like real estate and art that never were available before. You used to have to buy the whole banana. Now you can buy a piece of a banana. There's so many things that happen when you understand the power of this technology. I think a lot of it just comes down to trust and the narrative behind how it's being used. On that,
we actually just did a video. It'll be released next week on common stack and augmented bonding curves, and how that's going to change. Again, things like the ability for microcapitalism and for individual charitable projects that don't need ongoing donations for forever. So that's actually a really cool one to look at Common Stack.
Awesome. Well, I'm being pinged right now that we're going to have to wrap up. So I'm going to give a quick little roundtable for last comments, starting with the folks on the phone. Phil, I think you're still there if you'd like to go first. Okay, or not. I will pick on Josh Lawler. He doesn't want to be picked on here. All right, who can hear me? We're going next.
Well,
I can hear you.
Hope so. Can you guys hear me?
There we
Hopefully
go.
you can hear me. I don't know. It's been a disaster. It's like it's the most ridiculous thing. I need blockchain phone.
you need an Ethernet cable.
All good. So we have to transition to the next one. So I'm just going to call.
I'd like to say one quick thing, and that is, if you haven't checked out Gitcoin yet,
I am on like a 13-second delay. It's amazing. No, that won't help. And I could tell you about the fight I've had with Fox. Do it.
All right, that Gitcoin is one of the most incredible platforms that I've ever seen. I just was awoken to it in the last week, and I met them at ETH Denver, and their ethos and spirit is incredibly strong. And it is a Web3 social network platform where, like, right now they just concluded a grant and matching system where they give over $250,000 away to tech projects, to health projects, and based on the community's donations and participations in it. And actually uses a quadratic funding curve, which is really interesting. We've got our decentralized dance party kind of health initiative. I posted a link in the chat, and we use it for there. But this platform is a place for virtual hackathons, and it's also a place for virtual bounties too. So for any projects out there that are needing resources and needing people to get things done, like, we're entering this age where this technology is enabling us to put the requests out there to get certain things done and then see those bounties be filled, as opposed to the traditional way, like that the government would do it, which is to put an RFP out there and then to select a vendor and then hope that that vendor delivers. And then when they don't deliver and they ask for more money, then we have to keep giving them money. Fuck that. Let's do performance-based challenges. Let's move to like XPRIZE style models. And XPRIZE has shown that when you put the prize up there, even as it's undeliverable, the industry will fund the prizes and the challenges. So yeah, Gitcoin.
I love it. I would love to see this just completely transition to a meritocracy where you can see the data on blockchain as to how much you should receive in your government check. Like, there's data behind everything. So, okay, well, on that note, we have to wrap up and pivot to the next panel, which is uno momento. It is, are we heading into another depression? Spoiler alert, yes, we are. We'll explain it on a data level. Thank you guys so much for being here. I love that you guys are shaking your heads. Oh, we're gonna have so much fun talking about that. So there's this thing.
Ryan, all right.
All right, bye guys, thanks so much.
Thanks everyone.